Hey guys, it's lukemick here, and I'm holding up an iPhone 4S by Apple, and obviously this is my review for Jobs. But before I get into the review, I just want to mention something. This movie seems very odd to me, at least before I went to go see it. It just seemed really hidden and like obscure. I didn't know a lot about it. I knew Ashton Kutcher was playing Jobs, and I knew it didn't have good ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what it was about story-wise, and I have not seen a single trailer for the movie. I didn't even know if it was a wide release or if it was a limited release or if it was a Netflix thing. I really knew nothing about this movie. All I knew was that, okay, it is going to be in my theater, so I'm going to have to go see it. And I was like, going into it, I thought, this is a movie about Steve Jobs, one of the most imaginative men in our society in recent years. So I was like, okay, if it's about Steve Jobs, this is going to be a very cool and creative movie. Is it that? We'll find out in this review. So I'm just going to say it right now, I don't like biopics. They just bore me. Usually I like the beginning and I find it interesting in the beginning, but I feel like they just start to get so just jam-packed and waterlogged, and they just get stretched out so much, and the runtime gets to be so long. I just don't enjoy biopics. Usually I like the first half. Last half I don't care because it just the toll really gets to me. The numbers just keep adding up with the time and the seconds. So biopics really aren't my thing. I think they can be done well. Like, for one, I really do like The Social Network. That's a great movie. Should have won Best Picture over The King's Speech. But yeah, that's a great biopic, and I really don't like many of them. So let's talk about the story. The story is about Steve Jobs when he's younger. It takes place from, let's say, 1968 maybe to 1996, and it's kind of the origin story of Apple and what Steve Jobs had to go through to get it off the ground, and that's the story. And I will say it does make for an interesting movie. It's a great idea. I mean, it's based on a true story. There's not much they can do to really stretch it out and make it not cliched, because it's a true story and it's a biopic. So I gotta say that it's interesting. It's cool that they're making a movie about Steve Jobs, but I don't think it was executed well. I'll explain that why in just a little bit. Ashton Kutcher as Steve Jobs, I think, is actually really good. He really, I feel, tries to give his character life, his character of Steve Jobs, but I can't help but look at him and say, that's Ashton Kutcher right there, ha ha ha. But I think he does do good as Steve Jobs. But I just, there's just something there that's just, I don't know. And all the other performances are there, and they're good. And I just don't really know how to review this movie because I just did not enjoy it. I really thought it was just a boring movie. I mean, it's directed just fine. There's some great musical choices in there. All the performances are good for the most part, and there are people involved with the project that I like. It's just that I found it to be so damn boring. I thought the first, 30 minutes of this movie was entertaining, where they're trying to, make their first circuit board and trying to make the first computer, and he's working at Atari. I thought that was all cool, but then the last hour and a half is like a watered down version of The Social Network. It's just a bunch of business stuff. It doesn't really show how imaginative Steve Jobs was. He's just like, we're going to put a keyboard, a plug-in keyboard that's not attached to the computer. That's the only inventiveness you got to see from his character. And he was really a dick. I feel like they were just trying to completely copy The Social Network, because they made Steve Jobs look like a damn dick. Like, he was not a nice guy. He wasn't portrayed that way in the movie. But like I said, I mean, it's directed well, for the most part. I like the music, and I like the performances, and it's a good idea. It's just that with biopics, I get so bored, and this one isn't one of the better ones, because I feel like it takes something that could have been so just insanely, like I said, imaginative or creative, a movie about Steve Jobs, but they just didn't do it very well. They just made it really watered down and boring. So the movie isn't that great. You get a good performance from Ashton Kutcher, and it's directed just fine, but it really truly is a very boring movie. So I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 stars. If you guys have noticed, if you saw my review for Lee Daniels, The Butler, and now this one, I don't like biopics. I really don't. They just start to bore me, and they can't keep me interested, and I'm not going to give a good movie a good rating just because it's got some great camera work and some great performances. It has to be entertaining to me as well, and neither of the movies were. So, this is lukemick signing off. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.